For people who ask or have been asking, what stats do I need or how good is my build, you might find these graphics helpful. So basically these are soft stat goals for Nilou, Nahida and Kokomi. If you have these stats on your characters, you can consider your builds good. If you have slightly higher, then even better. Obviously these are just guidelines and some sort of metric for you guys to try achieve, but they aren't laws. These also take a lot of work to do, so we didn't do all the other teammates. But these three are the most popular core for Nilou Bloom teams. Still, let me know if you'd like it for more teammates like Kole, Yao Yao, Xingqiu, Yelan and so on. And I'm also going to use my account to explain how this can work. So let me just go into my account. Let's look at Nilou. You can see when she's not in the party, so without Hydro Resonance, it's 68k HP with her signature weapon, and then with Hydro Resonance I go to 72k. So this is close to the graphic. Now this doesn't reach her HP cap, which is over 74k, but that is an unrealistic goal for most people, so we're not going to aim for that, especially if I personally don't even have it. So how do you get these HP stats? Well, as I wrote here, the flower and feather, you want a lot of HP percent rolls. And then for the last 3 artifacts, if you can get some flat HP, that's good. And then overall for all the pieces, if you can, try get ER and EM stats too. So if you look at my build, I've got a lot of these substats. It's not perfect. Like ideally, I'd want more HP percent rolls here, but the ER is still very nice. And then my other pieces, I've got all the key rolls. Again, as I mentioned, flat HP, elemental mastery, and energy recharge. The 2-piece tenacity set for more HP is very important, whether you have her signature weapon or not. But remember, as we show, you don't necessarily need 2-piece gilded dreams. Wanderers and flowers of lost paradise also give 80 EM. So however you can get these sets with HP main stats, then use it. Lastly, on Nilou, I just want to touch on explaining these EM and ER stats. See, when you use her E, this actually does create reactions, whether you're using 2 Hydro, 2 Dendro or triple Hydro, it's going to happen. And in her artifact substats, you haven't really got that much to focus on anyway, so getting EM and ER is good. And as I always say in my Nilou vids, her burst is very good. It has a wide AoE of Hydro application, which will get you a lot more reactions. And you're also invincible during this animation, which can help pause all the recoil damage you're taking. So honestly, 140% ER is the goal, but because you're aiming for a lot of HP and EM already, if you end up on the lower end of this, it's still okay. Now moving on to Kokomi. As you know, I recommend a variety of builds. See, we wrote hybrid for more flexibility, raw damage and healing, or you can use one of the EM sets for max reaction damage. Now obviously, as some of you may already know, you can customize this even further than we wrote. Some people use EM sands in the hybrid builds, so if you do that, just maybe add 150 EM here and minus 3,000 or 4,000 HP here. Some people even use healing bonus for their EM reaction builds. Again, if you do that, then drop around 150 EM from the goal. Just adjust your standards if you deviate from these builds. Obviously, as these are graphics, we don't want to overcomplicate things with every variation. If you want to ask, is the left or right build better? Honestly, it's hard to say. And as I wrote on the bottom, they each have their own advantages, but it really does come down to personal preference and the content. You can watch my channel. I have speed runs using both builds. The most important thing is probably if you want to go and farm for Ocean Hued Clam, because that might be a detour for you at this point if you haven't already got a set. I suppose for most people, just farming one of the newer Sumeru domains is probably more likely. Lastly, with Nahida, I think some people find her complicated, but others might find her straightforward. The most important thing is to understand that all these main stats, whether it's EM, Dendro, or crit damage, crit rate, they're all pretty rare. So that's why I don't mind recommending all of them and just using whatever gets you the best substats. It gives you more chances to farm for a good piece. The attack isn't really that important, but we just put it anyway. Also, remember that her signature gives slightly more EM with another Dendro teammate. So when you have Dendro Res, it's 32 extra EM. at R1. Okay, one of the common questions with Nahida is it actually worth building crit in Bloom teams? And the answer is yes. Now, you can get a crit rate circlet, crit damage, or even an EM1 if you've got like 10 crit rate, 20 crit damage or something good. Just compare roughly with these goals and you should be fine. Why crit is good? I think people know by now that the idea that in triple hydro teams 100% of the team's reactions use her EM is just false information. I think that's commonly corrected now. So whether you play her in double dendro or triple hydro, you should be building some crit because her E damage is good and shouldn't be ignored. She won't be dealing 100% of the team's reactions, so the rest of your team does need to have EM investment. Lastly, we didn't put an energy recharge goal here. Her burst is good, so you do want some, but these teams don't really have rotations, and personally I just use her burst whenever it's available, especially if there's downtime like enemies are spawning or bosses are switching phases. So I'd rather not give any concrete number. Besides, you have all these other stats to aim for. And again, as mentioned, a lot of these are pretty rare artifacts, so you have to take what you can get. If you can get like 110% ER and have all these other stats, then congratulations. So hopefully you find these graphics helpful. Again, these are the 3 most common characters in Bloom, and then everybody does play their own 4th teammate, whichever suits their own playstyles best. If you do want goals for various other teammates, then let me know in the comments. Thanks.